Hello, Amy Elizabeth, somatic and intuitive healer here. And I had all of these plans to come on and do a video prior to the Aquarian dark moon, which took place on the 21st, which was Saturday. It peaked at 2:53 p.m. Central Time. So be sure to adjust for your time zones. And it was the closing of a 2-year moon cycle. Now, while we have worked really hard as a collective to try to make time a linear thing, shamanic beliefs are that it moves in a spiral. And so the moon that we had on the 21st was a dark moon that closed out a cycle that began on February 11th of 2021. You can check back to my Where Are We At in the Aquarian moon cycle video, which gives you the dates for all of these. This moon that happened on the 21st also marked a halfway point for a cycle that started on January 31st of 2022, and it birthed a brand new cycle. So we're always moving in this consistent medicine walk. And Aquarius in a cycle is where we come down from that place of highest access, which happens in Capricorn. We've climbed the mountain. We know who we are. We know what we have. We know how we think and what makes us safe and how we express our hearts and how we function and are in alignment with our inner and outer world so that we can be of service. We have learned about ourselves in relationship to other. We have learned about ourselves in relationship to other people's things. We have discovered our private and personal truths. And then we move into Capricorn where we climb the mountain and we recognize and claim our highest potential. And then in Aquarius, we come down the mountain to our soul community and bring ourselves and our learning forth so we can share. And that's really what this Aquarius is. And now, of course, that's going to shift depending on where Aquarius is in your individual chart based on your birth time and your birth location. For me, my individual Aquarius is in the 7th house. So it's a different place to have it. My partner's Aquarius is in the 5th house. So she works with it that way. And so knowing where your individual Aquarius is one thing. And then there is the piece of looking at it collectively and how it fits in. But this was a closing cycle, a halfway point, and a birthing that all peaked. And the energy shifted at, like I said, 2:53 p.m. Central Time. So adjust for your time zones. It also feels really, really important that we hold the reality that a dark moon is also called a new moon. A dark moon is a time of releasing. And so often we move right to the planting. We're so about the produce, make things happen, manifest, go, 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 that we forget that there's a releasing first. And that releasing is what makes space so we can bring in, so we can plant something new. If your garden is full and you don't have any space, you can't plant anything new. You can't create anything. So let's kind of look at some of the astrology that took place right around this dark moon so we can better be able to look back and say, oh, this right here. This is what I release. This is what I'm in the middle of. This is what I am birthing after the moon peaks. So on the 18th, our friend Mercury, who had been retrograde since the 29th of December 2022, stationed direct. So of the planets that were retrograde, when the calendar years shifted over, Mars stationed on the 12th, Mercury stationed on the 18th, and Uranus stationed on the 22nd. So with Mercury's shift in direction, he's still in his shadow. He's still working through the things, as is Mars. but we had a change in energy. And with Uranus's station on the 22nd, that marked the start of 88 days where all of the planets are moving direct. There is this beautiful push for us to really find completion at the end of this astrological year. I have been talking a lot. I will bring it in again here. Shamanically and astrologically, the new year does not start until spring. It's 13 moons to run the course of a year. And this year starts on April 19th. There are two Aries moons, new moons this year. And that first Aries new moon, which happens on the spring equinox, is the 13th moon, not the first moon. So moving with that energy, we're still shedding, we're still releasing, we are working on an internal basis to ask ourselves, what do we need to let go of so that our ground is actually ready for planting when the new year starts? Because that is the point where we set resolutions, where we make plans, where we move into something new, because spring is a time of birthing something. It's a fresh time period. It's a time where we move with things differently. So Mercury direct, Uranus direct, moving into something new happens in the spring. But we've got these 88 days of planetary support, really, to move us through the completion of what we maybe have not taken the time to complete since February of 2021, March of 2021, April of 2021. We're closing out some cycles between now and the start of the new year. Looking at how this moon on the 21st interacted with the rest of the planets, Jupiter and Juno were conjunct in Aries. So Jupiter and Juno are a cosmic couple, not often seen the way that Mars and Venus are, because Mars and Venus are planets. You may also know Jupiter and Juno by Zeus and Hera. So they were a married couple. And Hera, or Juno, is really this focus on what are our sacred contracts? What have we agreed to on a soul level? And of course, there are beliefs that we can rewrite those, that we can address them and move with them differently. But maybe we should discover what we agreed to on a soul level before our human ego kicks in and decides we're going to rewrite something that our soul already knew coming in. Jupiter in Aries is making that bigger. It's expanding our opportunity for growth and birth, and the growth and birth of discovering, hey, what things haven't we seen, because this is the dark moon, about our sacred contract and our relationship to it. And the moon was sextile this conjunction. The moon was sandwiched by Pluto on one side. It was conjunct Magdalene, exactly, because Magdalene had just entered Aquarius days before. So she was at 1 degree, right along with the sun and the moon. Magdalene brings in that big, beautiful love energy, but she can also really deepen the divide, because, of course, if your light is division, if your light is connection and divine union, your shadow is going to be division. So there was this conjunction with Magdalene. Inanna was square this dark moon. She's over in Taurus. She was at 3 degrees of Taurus, moving in all of her queen of heaven and earth, underworld. Like, that is Inanna's big energetic theme, is, have you done your underworld journey? Have you gone to meet your shadow? And the revolution, to bring in that Aquarian word, how revolutionary it can be when we move into the shadow. The moon was also opposite our friend Black Moon Lilith over at 1 degree of Leo. So Black Moon Lilith is the conglomeration of all of the dark goddesses, and she is bringing in that truth, equality, liberation are you free to speak your heart, especially in Libra? Do you feel free? Do you feel liberated to speak from your heart, to express what your heart wants you to bring in, to really express who and what you are? Venus and Saturn were also in orb. They conjuncted exactly shortly before Uranus stationed direct the next day. So this dark moon in Aquarius felt really, really loaded with heart between Magdalene and Black Moon Lilith and Leo. This conjunction with Saturn and Venus in Aquarius, Jupiter and Juno. There was a lot of balancing masculine and feminine energy to move into that divine union of there doesn't need to be a binary. This can be a non-binary situation. It can be true equality where we don't need to recognize the separation, and that we can move into the dark of divine union. So that's the kind of Aquarian moon pieces. And I know all of you in my women's circle have been waiting, and I'm sorry it took time to give you a little kind of boots on the ground, what this looks like. My home energetically said, "Hey, we're done." Back in actually the beginning of 2021, and before the moon peaked, one of the things we finished doing was tearing out the floor of the kitchen here. So there was a big release that happened with that. We removed things, and so when the moon peaked, I was literally sitting in my dining room with the beautiful, amazing people who had helped, and excuse me, my girlfriend. And we had just done all of this work of tearing out the floor to create some shifts in this energy that had started back in 2021, beginning of 2021. So I've been just really moving and recognizing that right now, for me, moving with the energies, moving with the cycles, moving how this is landing in my personal chart, it is not the time to be planting fresh. It is a time to be nourishing what I have and letting go of what I do not find beautiful, what I do not find useful, what I do not have a healthy emotional connection to. Because we're moving into a great, big, huge 20-year cycle. And I really want my energies and my life and my palette, as it were, really clear, so that when Pluto dips into Aquarius, starting in March of this year, to give us kind of a little, hey, this is what the next 20 years could be. If you're ready to innovate, if you're ready to move quickly enough, which brings me to the Lunar New Year with this Yin Water Rabbit year. Now, the Chinese astrology is not something I spend a lot of time with. Archetypally, however, I look at this and I see, yes, rabbits. They are prosperous. They are peaceful. They're soft, fluffy. Rabbit is something that sits with me often. Rabbits are also able to shift directions quickly. Yin is about our ability to receive. Can we shift into a place of receptivity, the prosperity of it? Water, can we flow and can we move? Water, of course, moves and flows at different speeds. And if you've ever watched a rabbit run, um, they are they're not necessarily like a cheetah that just is running and has to slowly change direction. Rabbits can be in a full out run and they can change direction like nobody's business. So our ability to shift our directions and move with the present feels like a very, very important thing to bring in with this rabbit from an archetypal standpoint. Yes, they're soft and they're fuzzy and they're gentle and there's hope and there's prosperity. Can we also recognize that our ability to receive the yin piece may be dependent on our ability to shift directions, on our ability to move differently, to know that we're going forward, but oh, I need to shift and go off in this direction because this forward path is no longer my path. It's no longer the aligned path. And rather than clinging and fearing change, can we shift directions quickly? The last piece I want to bring in is this 88 days of direct energy. That 88 days of direct energy ends on April 21st of 2023 when Mercury stations for his second 2023 retrograde. So let's make really, really good use of this time. If you are a human being that identifies as female, I have an all women's retreat coming up that starts April 20th to kick off the astrological new year and to call in and set us up as we really envision what we want our new year to be. What do we want to call in? This is going to be a powerful time astrologically, shamanically. I pulled the chart for this retreat and it is, well, off the charts. So I am going to drop information for that down in the show notes. I would love to hear from you on the things that closed out with this Aquarian moon and the things that you are maybe planning on continuing to work on throughout the end of this astrological year. So there can be some support and some accountability. So be sure to like and share, subscribe, leave me questions, comments, dedications, requests if you want to hear something specific to touch in on. And happy Yin Water Rabbit year, and I will talk to you again soon.